and welcome back everyone to the video series dedicated show on Paramount Plus that's dealing with a lot of man meat. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge All-Stars 3 Episode 3, and let's start off where last episode left off, and that was Mark winning against Laterian in the elimination, as well as Melinda had to leave due to her ankle, and so she had to pull herself from the game, giving Tina another star, and waking up the next morning, Mark is high-fiving himself on a job well done in the elimination. And then we move on to a scene where we see Kendal and Kellyanne doing some yoga by the pool. And let me tell you right now, Kendal has some very impressive yoga moves. And while they take a break, they look over to see that MJ and John A are having a conversation with one another. And Kellyanne clocks how close MJ and John A are with one another. And they're looked at as like a known couple, as a known package deal, and they just won with each other last season. So that's going to be a huge target on each other's backs moving forward in the game. And MJ is talking with John A about maybe we can make a soft deal, a soft alliance with Wes. John A is a little skeptical of Wes and his intentions, and she doesn't know if she wants to, quote-unquote, make a deal with the devil. Speaking of alliances, we hear about the Treehouse Alliance, which is a room filled with Kayla, Sylvia, Jemmy, Veronica, Tina, Ronnie, and Derek. And those 7 players make up the Treehouse Alliance, which is just the room that they stay in, but they're all going to be looking out for one another. How Derek got matched up into this? I think it's just right place at the right time, and good on Ronnie too, because Ronnie talked in the first couple of episodes being like, nobody's talking to me about strategy, and look, she's in a 7-person alliance called the Treehouse Alliance, which is a great thing heading into the rest of this episode and possibly the rest of the game. We move on to a little bit later in the night. We have Wes coming out of the bathroom. Yes asked to talk to Wes, and Yes is trying to pick his brain about the sabotage. Would Wes like to use his sabotage since Yes doesn't like it? That's when Wes and Yes open the conversation. Wes is asking Yes about who he's thinking about using the sabotage on. Is it going to be Wes? And Yes pretty much point blankly says yes. This is gonna get a little confusing, I could tell. Yes tells Wes that Yes hates Wes's game. He hates causing chaos, he hates stirring up the house, he hates pot stirring, that Wes loves to play dirty, loves to throw sabotages on people, make people squirm. Yes has no tolerance for this whatsoever. But let's move on to this week's daily challenge called Playing Dirty, where it's going to be a musical chairs challenge. In a mud pit, there's going to be some balls, there's always going to be less balls than players, and you're going to be knocked out one after another until the final round when there's 3 balls, and the 3 players that can transfer those last 3 balls over the line will make up the authority. The player that can get over the line the quickest in that final round will be the one who is the winner and will get the sabotage for next episode. Before starting this daily challenge, TJ turns over to Kendal, and yes, on who they would like to sabotage, Kendal is squirming. She hates having this power. She hates having to make a decision, having to sabotage somebody. She then asks TJ some questions saying like, okay, do I have to sabotage a woman or can I sabotage a man? And TJ says, you can sabotage anybody you want, man or woman. And then Kendall's like, can I sabotage myself? And TJ's like, if you want to, you know what this game is, right? You have to make tough decisions. You got to make strong power moves to make it to the end. You have to set yourself up to make it to the end. And sometimes that's making difficult decisions like this one. I mean, if you come in last place, you're going directly into the elimination. So if Kendal puts that 35-pound weighted vest on herself as a sabotage, she's pretty much locking in herself that last place spot. So Kendal is squirming, she doesn't know what to do, she's looking around. Jordan at one point says, just throw the sabotage on me, Kendal, it's okay. But Kendal's still like, I don't know, I'm gonna give it to MJ. And that shocks everybody. It seems as though that Kendal, John A, and possibly MJ were very much tightly aligned with one another. I think in the moment, Kendal didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings or disrupt anything, so she's like, I'll put it on a friend. I'll put it on a friend who is very big and strong, who the weighted vest won't probably do too much damage to in the long run, so I'm gonna give it to MJ. No bad vibes or ill will should come to me as I gave it to a friend. They'll understand. Spoiler alert, they don't understand, and now John A is an enemy that you have to worry about. Yes, on the other hand, has a very easy decision on giving it to Wes. So coming into this week's daily challenge, we have Wes and MJ being Sabotage, having to wear a weighted vest heading into this mud, but the women's heat is up first. In round 1, we have everybody running out, grabbing a ball. There's only one ball missing, so we can definitively tell who is the last place person heading straight to the elimination for this episode. And it comes down to Kendal versus Veronica in this mud pit. And Veronica is doing all she can, being one-on-one, trying to wrestle this ball away from Kendal. But she is having no luck as Kendal is inching her way up this mud. And she gets to the edge. She gets the win, so Veronica is heading straight to the elimination, coming in last place for the women. Where was the help, Treehouse? I mean, we see in the next round that Sylvia and Tina work together to wrestle the ball away from Kendal and make sure she doesn't even get to the final round. Where was that help last round? So Veronica was left out to dry. I think the Treehouse learned from their mistakes in the first round, so they didn't leave anyone out to dry. We see Jemmy grabbing the ball, throwing it to Sylvia at the other end of the mud pit. She is able to wrestle herself all the way to the end. So heading into the last round, we have Kayla, John A, Sylvia, Tina, and Kellyanne making it to the final round. And no doubt about it, we have the Treehouse going directly to make sure Kellyanne does not see the authority. We have Tina wrestling Kellyanne to the ground. Even though Tina has the ball, she looks like she's tackling Kellyanne, just holding the ball to hand off to somebody else. We have Kayla coming in first place by the help of Sylvia. Then we have John A getting in second place, and then Sylvia able, with the help of Tina, to get the ball and get it all the way across the finish line. So we have, for the authority, on the women's side, we have Kayla winning first place, John A getting second place, and Sylvia getting third place. Now it's on to the men's heat, and round 1, MJ looks terrible. He looks horrific. Not only does he have this weighted vest on himself, but he has this giant knee brace on his knee. Now, I caught MJ wearing this knee brace in the past 2 episodes of the Challenge All-Stars, but this episode, MJ looks terrible. He sticks his one foot into the mud and you can see him wince. He instantly goes down. He's unable to run. He's unable to pick his feet up out of this mud. He just looks like he's in a world of pain. I don't know how he's going to do anything physical from here on out in this season. And it's easy to see why he gets last place. He is instantly out of round 1. MJ has punched his ticket directly going into the elimination for this episode. Then in round 2, we have Darrell, Nehemiah, Wes, and Yes being eliminated. And before they're all eliminated, we can see that Nehemiah and Yes get into a bit of a shoving match. There was a lot of claims that people were playing dirty in this daily challenge. Yes was working with Darrell to get the ball away from Nehemiah. Once the ball was away from Nehemiah, Yes still tackled Nehemiah in the mud and then even hitting his head into the mud at one point, and Nehemiah got up, tackled Yes. And when round 2 wrapped up, that's when Nehemiah let it be known to everybody, especially Yes, that if you play dirty with me, a rain of hurt will come at you and you cannot handle it. And Yes is like, have you ever wrestled before? You're welcome. Then we get to the final round where we have Brad, who is high-stepping it every single round. I think he got first place in every single round, including the last round where Brad won, got the sabotage heading into the next episode. But his stature, his muscle, his length, his size, nobody wanted to try to take Brad on. So Brad was able to get in and out of this mud pit every single round without any hesitation, without any resistance. We had Jordan, who looked to have almost gotten first place. He was heading outside this mud before the ball slipped out of his hand a couple of times. And then we had Derek, who was able to sneak away, get second place, and then Jordan was able to get third place after Cyrus decided to do a little net tapping, little tap-a-roo in that third round. So heading into this episode's authority meeting, we have Kayla, John A, Sylvia, Brad, Derek, and Jordan in the authority, ready to make a decision. And John A is looking at one person and one person only to send into elimination, and that is Kendal. And that aligns perfectly with the Treehouse Alliance, who are looking to try to take out Kellyanne and Kendal, as they are on the outside of their alliance. Coming back to the house, that's when MJ and John A are interrogating Kendal on the decision that she made to sabotage MJ. Why would you sabotage me? What was the point there? Kendal doesn't really have a good reasoning on why she gave the sabotage to MJ. And now you have made an enemy with who I think is your only friends that were left in the game. So Kendal is on an island with Kellyanne. It's not looking good for Kendal or Kellyanne as we head into the 70s party. Everybody is having a good time dressed up. Everybody's having a good time drinking, mingling, dancing. And then the night turns into a campaign where Wes is talking to Mark and everybody else campaigning to get Yes sent into the elimination. And we even see Wes talking to Jordan, trying to get Jordan's help on this. MJ lets it be known to everybody that he wants Cyrus in the elimination. He feels like Cyrus is the easier win. He's the easier person to win against. So please just give me Cyrus. And John A is listening to Wes, and all John A can do is, I'm looking out for MJ. MJ feels more comfortable with Cyrus. I don't care what Wes wants. I'm not playing Wes's game. I'm playing my game and MJ's game, and I think Cyrus is the way to go. So we get this pre-authority meeting happening at the 70s party, and Brad is saying that he wants to vote in Yes because of Wes, but also he gives these reasonings that don't make a whole lot of sense. To me, if you're Brad, all you had to say was, Yes has won. I don't want to face Yes in the finals. He is going to be a tough person to beat. He needs to see an elimination. I think he's beatable, and MJ can do it. That's my pick. But Brad doesn't really have that great of reasoning. John A is way more persuasive, and we see John A be able to, I don't know, like push her weight around in this group as Derek, Kayla, and Sylvia are all part of the Treehouse Alliance, and they like the idea that Kendal's going in. I think that they all have a good standing with John A as well. So John A is like, MJ wants Cyrus. MJ is going to get what MJ wants because I'm in the authority and I'm going to make it happen. And even though she's not officially in the Treehouse Alliance, I just think that she is in good standings with everybody who's in the authority, especially Derek, Kayla, and Sylvia. So heading into this authority meeting, I think the decision has already been locked in. Let's be real. All you need is 4 votes. And I think that the 4 of John A, Derek, Sylvia, and Kayla are already locked in. So heading into the authority meeting, the decision has already been made. It's just them gathering together is a formality at this point. But let's not jump too ahead of ourselves because we have to get to the next morning where we see Tina and Veronica packing up Tina's bag, and Tina has this giant wrap on her arm. Come to find out, she went to the hospital and she broke her hand. When she was doing the daily challenge of playing dirty, she had hurt her hand. We hear her say that she was missing a knuckle, her finger was out of place, she popped it back in, she felt fine. But even during the men's heat, we could see that she had a huge bag of ice on her hand. She was holding it there, and then come to find out the next morning after the 70s party, she went out to the hospital, and come to find out she broke her hand and she has to be medically DQ'd from the game. We moved to the authority meeting. Like I was saying, every decision was already locked in. Kendal was going to be the vote no matter what. Cyrus was going to be the vote no matter what. When they do actually vote, we can see that Brad and Jordan were just not on the same wavelength as the other 4. We have Kendal getting votes from John A, Kayla, Sylvia, and Derek. Jordan throws his vote on Nia to burn vote, and Brad votes Ronnie as a burn vote. Then it comes down to the guys, and Cyrus is voted by John A, Kayla, Sylvia, and Derek, where Brad throws his burn vote on Wes, and Jordan throws his burn vote on Nehemiah. Kayla, Sylvia, and John A go to give the news to Cyrus and Kendal is frustrated with how the game is turning. She's like, what is this? I thought this was a mature game. We're in All-Stars. What's going on? Does this game really have to get dirty? Does there really have to be sides? Kellyanne at the 70s party put it perfectly. And she said that Kendal and Kellyanne were playing nice while everybody else is playing smart. They're playing the smarter way and not harder way. Just winning competitions and putting all your eggs into that basket is going to be tough. It's going to be difficult, especially in this house with this type of competition and level of competition. You're going to have to make some connections. You're going to have to make some bonds. And right now, Kendal is at the very bottom of these rankings, and it's not looking good for her heading throughout the rest of this game, as everybody else seems to be in a strong bond, a strong alliance moving forward. But we move on to a little bit later on, and we see that Jemmy and Veronica are going to talk to Jemmy's mom. Jemmy is getting word from her mom asking Jemmy to call her, that there's something going on with her dad and her dad's health, Jemmy's dad and dad's health. And so they're talking. Apparently he went to the emergency room. He was worried about himself. And so Jemmy was asking her mom, should I come home? Do I need to pull myself out of the show, out of this game to come home? And the mom was like, you got to do what you got to do, but you got to figure out that decision for yourself. Jemmy decides that she is going to pull herself out of the game, that her family emergency and her dad's health and being there for her dad is much more important than the show. And I totally understand. It sucks to see players leave due to injury or family emergencies, as you never want to see players go out like that. But I totally understand Jemmy's decision, and I hope that Jemmy is doing well. Thoughts and prayers to her and her family. Now the 7 that was once the Treehouse Alliance is now 5. It's dwindling down, and we still have everybody gearing up to go down to the elimination to meet up with TJ. Now, coming into this elimination, you kind of figure out that we're not going to have a women's elimination, but there is a men's elimination, and it's going to be MJ versus Cyrus in the weight up elimination. And in this elimination, both players will be in individual cages where they have to then throw these weighted sandbags into a hanging trough to then counterbalance and lift it, because it's on a scale pulley system, that when they have enough sandbags to drop the trough, it'll lift up the wall on one side of their cage that will have a little window that's boarded up. You have to then take your hammer, break out that board, jump out the window, and ring a bell. The first player to ring their bell wins, stays in the game, gets the other player's star, and the other player is eliminated. Everybody's set. TJ blows that horn, and I was really pulling for Cyrus. I think Cyrus is the better player moving forward in the game, especially knowing or seeing how bad MJ's knee is. I just don't think he's going to be that big of a threat going on into the game. At first, I was like, Cyrus, wait, get into a rhythm, because both men were just trying to go as fast as they can. Luckily for MJ, he found a rhythm with the trough because it was moving back and forth, and he was able to just keep on throwing these in, and most of them were hitting into the trough. There were some that were falling out later in the round, but the first couple were just going in. Or on the other hand, Cyrus was just going for quickness. He was just trying to get as many sandbags out of the cage as possible, which was not the game. The game was to get the sandbags in the trough, and there were points where sandbag would hit the trough, it would start to swing a little bit more and a little bit more erratic, and Cyrus would just try to throw it in there, and it would hit the side, it would hit out, it would miss completely. He was hitting the side of the cage and it was bouncing back into the cage. That was a misstep on Cyrus's part, as MJ was able to get his wall up first, exposing the boarded up window. Then MJ had the misstep of trying to just like chisel away at this wall. I think he was trying to like outline the window and then maybe hopefully like just punch the whole thing out. I don't know what he was doing, to be honest, but it opened up the door for Cyrus to lift his wall, and Cyrus was just like banging the crap out of that board. I mean, there was a point where Cyrus had a big enough hole that he could have just jumped right through, and you could even hear Wes and a whole bunch of people yelling for Cyrus, just jump through. He just waited. He hesitated too long to where MJ kind of heard him taking bigger swings. So MJ took bigger swings and he was able to jump through and ring the bell, meaning MJ wins this elimination. And now he has 3 stars. We hear from TJ that MJ has 3 stars because he takes not only Cyrus's star, but he also takes the star from Tyler. So now MJ is one of the more powerful players in the game star-wise, as he has 3 stars on his jersey. Sad to see Cyrus go, but you know what I love to hear? Because in episode 1, heading into the first elimination, Cyrus was talking about, maybe I'm going to have to retire. This could be the last time you see me on a challenge season. But after he is eliminated from this game, he's like, you'll see me back. You'll see me bigger, better, badder than ever, and I'll be that guy. And you know what? I love that intensity. I love that fire. And I love Cyrus this season. I really wish he could have been able to win, stay in this game. But that is it for this episode. What'd you think about this episode? Let me know down in the comment section below. What'd you think about Kendal sabotaging MJ? What do you think are the repercussions going to be happening? What do you think about the Treehouse Alliance? Do you think that they're going to just bull their way through this game? What do you think about the DQs that happened? Are you sad? Who do you think is the reinforcement that's coming in next episode? And what do you think about this elimination? And are you sad to see Cyrus go? Let me know anything and everything you thought about this episode down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. I want to give a special shout out. Thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. And thank you for watching this video up to this point. I really, really appreciate it. I'll be back really, really soon with more Challenge All-Star content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.